Good morning. We got your stories for the last week of August, and let's start with some records, shall we? So Renew Energy, which is a daily newsletter, reports that GE and the Dutch government are working on a rotor test rig that will, quote, allow for the verification of the strength and the dynamic behavior of wind turbine rotors under the enormous mechanical loads caused by large blades. Knowledge gained in the project will be used to improve existing design tools, which, after verification through digital twin concepts, will contribute to the design of larger rotors. In other words, they're going to make bigger stuff for offshore wind. GE's press release doesn't specify the size, but the Renew Energy article talks about a 120-meter blade, which is 13 meters longer than the SoCalEd blade right now, and 12 meters longer than Siemens Gamesa 108-meter blade. In other news, Portugal just finished up a recent auction for 670 megawatts of solar and got a new record-setting bid of $13.16 per megawatt hour. That eclipses, you have to use that word when you talk solar. If it's wind, you say it blew the records away. That eclipses last year's Portuguese number of $17.40 a megawatt hour and is better than the Middle Eastern numbers that have been coming in recently. Hanwha Q Cells out of Korea picked up 315 megawatts of that lot. And of the 670 megawatts, 483 included storage as well of unspecified duration. I'm guessing it's 4 hours. In other news on electric vehicles, many EV aficionados know that the EV Porsche Taycan charges at 270 kW and 800 volts on a liquid-cooled cable. The company claims you can charge from 5% of the battery to 80% in roughly 20 minutes, and GM announced recently its EV Hummer model will do the same. But when Kia says it will introduce an 800-volt charging unit, that's where the future then seems to be headed. When the mainstream companies do that, now you begin to think, okay, maybe this is where this is all headed. Kia has indicated it's going to focus on European sales for the next few years, but targets 20% of total vehicle sales in the U.S. being electrified by 2026. Also in EV news, Southern California Edison received approval for a $436 million infrastructure charging effort to put 38,000 EV chargers over the coming 4 years. They'll install the make-ready part of this up to the charging station, and then others will actually put the stations in. They'll be focusing across the state, their service territory, but also in multi-housing units so that lower-income people in particular can gain access to electric vehicles. They will own and operate charging stations in those multi-unit dwellings and also in government locations as well. And then we also know that we've had the California Blackouts a week and a half ago, and many have already chosen to focus on renewables as the cause. There's been an underinvestment in the grid in general, which has certainly led to that. But before we jump to conclusions, CAISO and the PUC have pushed back on those initial claims about renewables causing the majority of that problem. And the PUC intends to release an analysis in the next few weeks outlining the causes of those outages. It needs to be a fast report and a thorough report, which will be a difficult challenge, but there's a lot of pressure to get that out. Well, thanks for watching. We'll talk to you again next week. Stay healthy.